Hey, you're back in the garage with TheEZGZ. I'm starting to get that feeling back. I'm getting close to the final assembly on this 2110 build, and I was paying close attention to my rocker arm geometry, and although I'm kind of excited to get this thing done and running, it's still winter time here, and it's not like I'm going to be out driving it every day in this kind of weather. But nonetheless, I wanted to share some of this information, and this is no secret. This is old school stuff. This is an old school book by Bill Fisher, How to Hot Rod Volkswagen Engines. A lot of people make fun of it, especially the engine that displayed on the front cover. But these guys knew what they were doing, and they were into the science of it, and nobody can really question that they were getting results in the time that they were doing this back in the 60s. It was an exciting time. A lot of this stuff wasn't available like it is today. These guys had to make it themselves, and the stuff that worked, sometimes these guys started manufacturing it and businesses were born, and we're enjoying the results of that today. But there's one little section in here about rocker arm geometry and how important it is. If this is correct with the center line of the adjusting screw tip coinciding with the valve stem center lift at 50% lift, good things happen. Specification lift throughout the lift cycle of the cam is assured. Side thrust of the valve stem against the guide bore is minimized to reduce wear and consequent oil consumption. Friction is reduced, and higher RPM can be reached before valve float occurs. This is a point of construction which is often overlooked, but it makes a vast difference in engine performance. So they have their procedure in here, but as I always try to explain, you know, we don't all have the same tools, we don't have the same areas to work in, so you do the best you can with what you got. And this is the same Harbor Freight dial indicator that I used when I was setting my end play, deck height. Now I'm going to use it. I've just got my vice grip. It comes with this vice grip and this flex and the dial indicator. The magnetic base is a separate item. And yeah, I know this gasket is broke. This is an old one. I'll have to take it off, clean it up. So, at any rate, let's stay on track. So, what you want to do is get it set on a flat spot and on these chrome retainers. And before I go too much further on this, if you're building a stock 1600 with stock parts, this whole thing is not a big deal for you. The factory figured this stuff out. It's when we start changing things and modifying things. This has these Geenberg swivel foot adjusters. This whole setup was on my other 2110 build. Why do I say other? We've changed the block here, basically. Put new bearings and changed the block. And we're just going to see how everything works out here. I'm not going to repeat that nightmare again. So, this has heavy-duty single springs on it, chrome moly retainers, chrome moly keepers, and it's probably overkill. This is just kind of insurance. Also, this also is going to, if you do this right from the beginning, it's going to give you longevity, and we all want longevity. It's okay to work on your car when you feel like working on it, but you don't want to do breakdown stuff. These are the head bolts, the same type of head bolts that you use to hold the head down. Head bolt nuts, I guess I should say. They're 8mm studs, chrome moly studs, and I'm using the head bolt with a full-size wave washer underneath it for extra strength, okay? This engine isn't capable of getting ultra high RPM, but I'm hoping it's going to give me that longevity. You're using spacers. This is what they call a solid rocker shaft. instead of wave washers and clips that they use on a standard one. So, you know, we're kind of going all out on this, even though it's a stock valve head, which I'm still amazed I'm even... I bought this stuff, I have this stuff, it's been on my mind, will it work? It works great on my 2-liter. I want to see if it'll work on this 2110. These are chrome only push rods. You have to, don't put any sealer on your cylinders, just put this together, mock it up, torque it down, just as if you were going to do the build. You want to get your push rods in here. You need access to all this stuff. If you can't get your rocker arm geometry correct by putting shims underneath the rocker shaft towers, then you're going to have to change the length of your push rods. We want to verify if your, this says 418 valve lift, 418 thousandths valve lift, okay? We want to verify if you have your rocker arm geometry wrong, you may not get that. So what we're going to do, I got it set at 0, and we're going to start rotating the engine. I'm rotating the flywheel. So each revolution is 100,000, so there's 100, 200, 300, 315. That's about what a stock camshaft does. 400, 10, 20, about 421 thousandths lift at the valve. And I have set my valve lash at 6 thousandths. Usually you would be subtracting something for that. So now you divide the 420 by 2, just divide it in half. So we're going to come back 100, 210. So we're halfway there. That is halfway up the on the ramp, and this is the critical moment. This is what this is all about. And you know, a lot of guys just kind of eyeball it, but at this half lift, if you're using a stock adjuster, you want that adjuster in the center of your valve. When you're looking down your row of valves, you want it in the center of your valve. Another thing people talk about is you want the floor of this to be parallel with the top of that spring retainer or the top of your valve. If it's cocked to the side, it's just like I read from the book. You're going to put unnecessary side pressure on the valve, which is going to force it up against the guide, and you're going to accelerate the valve guide wear. It can happen in a very short time. You can really make a lot of mistakes and it will start and run, but will it live and will it last? That's the key thing here. That's the proof. Let me see that same engine in 10,000 miles or 20,000 miles. So that's how you arrive at the place to do your inspection. Now, I mentioned some shims underneath these rocker towers. I got 120 thousandths shim under both of those towers. And you want to do this to the other side because the other side might be different. Only by a few thousandths. It just depends on how anal that you want to get. And why does this happen in the first place? It's like, well, this has got 90.5 cylinders, so the spigot holes in the block had to be cut. If the seating area isn't exactly the same as stock, then it's going to change it. You do the same thing. You have to cut the heads. You see the chambers. You make sure that everything's the right size. You may put shims underneath there to arrive at the compression ratio that you're looking for the type of fuel that you're going to burn. So all these things can affect the height of this, and it also affects the rocker arm geometry. So there's a lot of things that can throw you off. Just by putting different adjusters in there, you're going to have to put shims underneath it, or it's going to definitely throw you off. It becomes quite obvious at some point. Now, I want to take a look here on the table. This is really, really important, and I think that's why I was breaking these chromoly rocker arm studs when I had this on my other engine, with a 2-liter engine with 1.4 ratio rockers. Look at the witness mark of the edge of that spacer. I don't even have any of those spacers. Those must have been empty spacers, and I'm not being sarcastic when I say that. I think that they were. But here's one of the things. Here's 120 thousandths. We're going to start with that on the other side. Now, drops right in there. You want to make sure whichever spacers you're using on high performance stuff covers that full foot, or the full base of your the base. These are even bigger. These are some old Gene Berg shims. These are even bigger than the base. So, there's a difference in height on these chromoly rocker arm studs, which you're probably going to want to use. Because when you put the heavy duty springs on and you start changing this stuff around, you're going to have to compress a couple of springs. You got to get a hold of a couple of threads. And the difference in length, you can hear, here's a stock one. See, there are just a few more threads on there, but that's all it takes to help you. Now, the thing we want to look at here is that this is a stock stud. That's a very nice fit. It's supposed to be that way. This one's got more of a sharp shoulder on it. It's very easy to screw these things down too far. If you don't have, now here's the problem. I'm going to put this shim on here, okay? Now we're screwed. We have a problem. We have a huge problem here, because now that shoulder's not there, and there's room for this to move around. And I think that that's what was happening. That thing was moving around, and it broke the stud. And I replaced it with 2 more, and I thought, what the heck? And I went out and was testing it. So what you would have to do in this case is put a double nut on here and unscrew this until you get about that much raised portion that will stabilize the base of this rocker arm block. Okay? That's very, very, very important. Another thing they talk about in the book is when to start with, it doesn't make sense to spend so much time on a lot of these deals. Many times the exhaust valves are shorter than the intake valves, and they talk about making sure that your valve stems are all the same height. That can affect it if you've had a valve job and they didn't grind the same amount. You have valve stem wear. You need to correct that to maximize the power that you're trying to get. There's no sense rebuilding your engine, putting a performance camshaft in there, and because your buddy's got one of those, the way you can beat your buddy, and he sees you build your engine with the same parts he's do, is attention to details like this. Okay, so here's some what they call lash caps. Lash caps have been out for a long time. They're nothing new, and it was originally for when you're I can't get the bag open with one hand. It's just a little cap, and it goes over the end of your valve. these are brand new valves, so you think, well, why not use them? Well, keep them new. Your grooves in your valve can wear from a lot of use, a lot of miles at high RPM. They usually do wear. Now you can see these. This was the intake valve that was in there. This is a basically stock intake valve. And I decided, just for giggles, that's 35.5, I decided that I was going to go with these stainless steel valves. Not because they're shinier and not because they're stainless steel, but they also have a different contour at the base of the valve. And I put them on the head, so I don't have one here to show you. They're just a little smoother, different radius. Since I'm putting stock valve heads on a big engine, I want to try to do everything I can. And the most important thing for me is longevity. If you look down here, you can see the valve guide, and you can see this aluminum here that supports the valve guide. The engine that I had the broken valve, the valve guide come out of was similar to this one. There's a lot more metal removed. Actually, they clean out these ports and that boss before they put the valve guide in. And all of those valve guides were a little bit loose on that engine. That one came out by itself. There was a couple more on that set of heads that weren't far behind, let me tell you. And it was only when I put the 1.4 ratio rockers on it, because it had the FK7 cam and I wanted to try that out, that it finally gave up. So when you start doing this performance stuff, hang on, because anything can happen. So I think I'm going to keep this video short. I want to get going here on this. There's a 1,000 questions and 1,000 scenarios, but I think this is important to at least understand the concept of what's going on here and how to arrive at it correctly so that you get the most life and you get your money's worth. You get the most horsepower and the most life. That's a win-win for me. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. TheEZGZ out. Hey, you're back in the garage with TheEZGZ. This morning here, I want to talk to you about the valve geometry. I think I do. Rocker arm geometry.